Hello and welcome to the Teach Music 21C podcast series. I'm Merlin Thompson, the creator and founder of Teach Music 21C, a music teacher's professional development program where we're focused on 21st century teaching tools and strategies. And I'm joined today by Paul McGlinchey from our executive team here at Teach Music 21C. Paul, thanks so much for joining in.
My pleasure, Merlin. Thank you very much for having me.
And Paul, we've got a great topic for today. We're going to take a look at our tradition of master apprentice teaching, where teachers are really in charge of students' musical development, and something that's more connected with Teach Music 21C, which is this idea of a shared teaching learning environment where both teachers and students are contributing to that student's musical journey. Have you got any thoughts in this area?
Oh yeah, I love the idea of a master apprentice type program. I love the imagination that I get when I'm thinking of, say, craftspeople in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Somebody learning to work with iron or to make other kinds of things. And so you've got somebody who is knowledgeable and has spent their life doing it and is willing and able to help somebody to learn that craft and to be able to, make a living on their own. In theory, that's kind of where that goes. And so, and then the idea of building a craft on its own also is something that I really like. So in theory, I really like it, but I also see its limitations, and you've really helped me to understand that.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I for me grew up definitely in a very master apprentice approach. That was my background. My teachers treated me. I mean, they treated me well. They were kind and all those kinds of things. But it was definitely a one-way street in terms of transfer of knowledge and information. It was only going one direction from
Mm-hmm.
them to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know that I remember too much of that. I think, at least from the teachers that I had, I remember a lot of collaboration, but it's certainly the information, I was looking to them for the information that I wanted in order to be able to improve as a musician or in sports or whatever I was doing.
Yep. So there is a reason why we go to teachers for sure, because they are more knowledgeable than students. And yeah, I would say as a student, there are lots of things that I would never have uncovered. Well, never is a strong word. That would take me 30 years to uncover on my own. Whereas
Right.
getting it from the teacher, yeah, nice, convenient way. Here's what I need. Here's what I need to do in order to get from where I am to another place. So definitely there is this idea that we depend on teachers for a good reason. It's because they are knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. And the truth is, for us as music teachers, not everyone that comes to us, in fact, maybe most, do not necessarily want to be a professional musician, don't want to make a living at it, and just want to have it be part of their lives, potentially all their lives.
Yeah, it's the whole lifelong music making that's so beautiful that we get to be
Yeah.
a part of. And that can kind of be overshadowed at times by the teachers. I'll call it the agenda, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
We have such a strong vision of where we can take students that we might lose sight of what students might actually be interested in. We've got that strong sense of what our goals for them are.
Right.
That yeah, making space for students' goals to show up, not always easy to do.
Yeah. Right. And for me, I love performing and the thrill of it. I've had some very unfortunate and difficult performances, but that thrill of, you know, being able to really perform at your best is something that I want to share with my students.
Absolutely. Yeah. So passing on skills and knowledge, very important. Then the question becomes, how do we pass on that skills and knowledge? Do we
Right,
pass it on as here it is, and you've got no choice but to take it in this form and get your work done? Or are we going to do something that's more empathetic and
right,
offer the student an opportunity to find ways to take on the challenges that we might be bringing, to make them their own challenges as opposed to the teacher own challenge?
right, right. So what are some of the ways that we can foster that latter kind of relationship, the more collaborative type of relationship with our students?
Yeah, and I think it's a real cornerstone in the Teach Music 21C certification program.
Mm,
So there's a strategy that I call reflective partnership teaching. And the reflective partnership teaching is really fantastic because it gets away from this master apprentice model, which is just teachers always telling students what to do. And so the strategy with reflective partnership teaching is we've got to get really good at gathering information. We've got to get really good at asking questions that students can answer. And all of those things, just like all of our expertise that we have with master apprentice teaching, takes time to develop in our own selves as teachers as well. So it's not something that, oh, yeah, I heard from Merlin Thompson or Teach Music 21C about reflective partnership teaching and everything's good. No, it's more, well, I heard about the three steps, but I'm really only comfortable with one of the steps. The other two, because I haven't used them, it's going to take me some time in order to get that into place. And also for my students, because my students haven't been exposed to these tools as well,
mm,
there's a certain amount of, oh, why is he changing tactics today? The tactics before, where I just did what I was told to do. Now I'm
right.
being asked to think about the process that's going on. Yeah, so lots of fun going on there.
And some students are going to be troubled by that, perhaps, you know, uncertain about what the change is, but certainly others are going to embrace it and be glad, and perhaps, oh, thank you for asking me what music I would like to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a mixture of both. There will be students who go, "Oh, this is new. I don't think I'm going to take a risk here. I was just getting comfortable with the former model. Now you're asking me about things to do." But you are right. There are those students who've been waiting. It's like they've been waiting. When is someone going to ask me a question about what I'm interested in and open the door for what that exploration could be? Because that exploration could include challenges that the student hasn't anticipated, but it can also include certain rewards and certain directions that the student might never have thought that was going to be part of what goes on in music lessons.
Yeah, and isn't it true that students can learn from, I mean, learn the skills of being a musician from any kind of music, right?
Yeah, I love it these days. Yeah, every once in a while, someone will come to me with something that they've heard from, or it's maybe in their own studio, and it will be their student went on YouTube and learned this really hard piece all on their own. They didn't have any input from this teacher. They didn't have any music. It was just they went on YouTube and they learned this piece on their own. And the teacher's absolutely astounded because the piece might be a couple layers heavier than what they're presently working on, and might also be things that the teacher would never imagine that the student would be able to get to that level on their own. So we're really fortunate today that there are things like YouTube out there where students can go on YouTube and they can watch one frame at a time if they want to learn a piece. So their learning strategies, wow, just changed enormously with that one tool that they have on their own.
Right, right. And the difference between learning something on YouTube per se and working directly with a teacher is, you know, online, you can really only get information. And when you're working directly with an actual human being, you get so much more.
Yeah. 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 So the online stuff, you get a certain percentage of what's going on. The rest of it you have to do on your own. Whereas I love what you're saying when you have a teacher there, and if that teacher is empathetic, sensitive to the student's journey, yeah, the teacher can pull back when they see, oh, this is something I should let the student explore on their own. Me jumping in and giving all the answers, maybe not the best solution right now. Or there is a time when, oh, yeah, this student's been struggling with this for 3 weeks. I was hoping they would get through it on their own, but now they need my expertise to step in and help out.
Yeah, yeah. Which, kind of circling back to where we started, that's the real true value of the teacher student model, or as we, started calling it, the master apprentice, and we kind of massaged that a bit through our conversation.
Yep. So we're in a new era of music teaching,
Yes.
and transitioning from this strict master apprentice approach to something that's more interactive, involves a two-way street, that's got things like reflective partnership teaching, where teachers are gathering information, they're helping students solve problems, but they're not solving all the problems for their students. Some of those problems they're letting students come up with their own solutions, and asking students to use their own reflective processes to see, where did you get with your practicing last week, as opposed to teachers telling students where they got with their practicing last week.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's one of the things I've really appreciated about our conversations in my time in the Teach Music 21C program, was to really get a strong sense of that difference between the traditional master apprentice and more of the 21st century teacher student collaborative relationship. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that very much.
Yeah. And the whole thing is really reflective of the world that we're living in as well. So it has a social component as well. That we're in a world where previous generations, there was a lot of power and control that rested with people like teachers or governments or parents. And now we're saying, yeah, 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 it's good that we have leaders, and teachers have a role, parents have a role, governments have a role. But the common man also has a role in terms of sharing responsibility for where we're going to end up. So it is interesting that we're in this era today, and what's going on in the world at large is trickling down into the music teaching environment to have an impact as well.
Indeed, indeed. Fortunately.
Yeah. And with that, we should probably wrap it up. What have we been talking about today? Well, Master Apprentice, shared teacher-student environment, comparison of what those two things are. We're not going to throw everything out from the Master Apprentice approach. We're going to keep the tools that are relevant for us today, and we're going to massage a little bit into this shared teaching learning approach as well. So, Paul, thank you so much for joining in today. It's been great to chat with you.
Thank you, Merlin. Wonderful as always.
So I'm Merlin Thompson. I've been here with Paul McGlinchey. We're from the Teach Music 21C podcast series. We're grateful that you joined in today with us, and we hope to see you again sometime in the future. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Bye for now.